In this video, I'm going to take you through the day of my sentencing. At this point, I'd done nearly everything that I could imagine to be ready for prison, whatever that looked like or whatever that thought was to be okay to walk into prison. Um, I had tried to get there. I knew that I wasn't there, but sentencing day wasn't going to wait. So sentencing day was Thursday, March 14th. I'd kind of played this day out in my head as to what to expect. I slept at my mom's house the night before. That morning, um, woke up, had breakfast with my girlfriend, my parents, my sister, my brother in law, and my two nephews. Um, it was an emotionally charged breakfast. I remember my nephews had to leave, and I just gave them hugs, telling them that I would see them soon and that I'd be okay. They left, went to school. I went upstairs and changed. I came back downstairs, and I had already discussed with my sister and brother in law and my girlfriend that they were going to be the ones taking me to court. I remember my parents wanting to go. I had asked them not to. Um, I didn't want their last vision of me for 15 months to be in handcuffs being let out of court. So I just asked that we could say our goodbyes at the house before I left, which we did. And it went as you can imagine. It wasn't easy. We got in the car. We drove the 25 minutes to the courthouse. I sat in the middle row with my girlfriend and held her hand the entire time. And I remember thinking two things. I remember thinking, like, why is she along for this ride? She doesn't deserve this. She doesn't have to be. It didn't make sense. And then thinking just how strong she was and how much stronger in this situation she was than me. I just remember thinking that in the car. We got to the courthouse. We parked. We arrived early, and I texted Jess, my attorney, that we were there, and she said she was going to arrive shortly. Um, I noticed as we were waiting outside that there were news cars, news vans, cameras, and I really didn't think much of it. I didn't really understand, or I just remember noting that when I was waiting outside. Jess arrived. We walked through the front doors and upstairs just outside the courtroom. I could hear that there was another case going on inside, so we waited outside the door. Jess peeked her head in and then came back and kind of gave us the head nod of time to go. So we walked in to basically a packed courtroom, and I remember sitting on the benches, sat down, and didn't sit long, probably 5 minutes, and then I heard my name called, and Jess gave me the let's go look. So I remember kissing Haley, my girlfriend, hugging my sister, and hugging my brother-in-law. And then as I walked down the aisle and opened the gate to go to the table that sits before the judge, I remember looking in the jury box, and everybody in that jury box lifted up cameras and started taking pictures and filming. And that's when I realized that the news were there for this case. And I wasn't ready for that. I was a little jarred by that. But what are you going to do? So I followed Jess to the table and I sat down. Once I sat down, I could feel somebody walking in on my left, and I looked up and I saw Jack, the swimmer, his mother, and her attorney walked in and sat down not far from me. I could feel the weight of her pain and her anger, and realize that she has a version of me in her head that I can never change. Um, I would love the opportunity to speak to her, but honestly, if I were her, I wouldn't want to talk or see me either. So that was extremely heavy. Um, I won't get into what was said and done for probably the next 25-30 minutes of that. I was able to read a letter. Um, Jack's mom was able to read a letter. And I just remember the judge towards the end saying, no one wins in a case like this, everyone loses. And then I heard the next sentence, or maybe the sentence after, was that I was being sentenced to 15 months to 15 years in the Michigan Department of Corrections. Right when I heard that, I could feel somebody behind me, and I turned, and there was an officer that was waiting for me to stand up, to handcuff me, to take me out of the courtroom. I looked at Jess, I gave her a hug, and then I stood up and was handcuffed. I was led out of the courtroom. I remember looking back to Haley, my girlfriend, looking back to my sister and my brother-in-law. In my head, I was giving them a nod that I was okay and I was strong. I've seen the pictures. I look scared, and I was scared. And that's my sentencing. That was when the wondering and the mystery of what was going to happen ended, and my journey from court to prison started. And in the next video, I'll take you through what that journey specifically looked like.